But knowing Ryan Poles is an aggressive general manager, my hope would be is he still keeps an open line of communication with Duke.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you?
Oh, just dandy.
Morning, Tommy. Let me tell you something, Tommy. The running game for the Bears has to change. It's got to change, okay? Because I was telling Kap, I said, I still got this PTSD, man. Mm-hmm. Third down, fourth down, couldn't get an inch, couldn't get a yard. That's just BS. I'd love to know what's on the mind of Ben Johnson as far as what he looks at as far as the running game for the future.
Yeah, it's funny because I heard a lot of people talk about the we talked about it a little bit yesterday that the Bears were very interested in Trevion Henderson, which, you know, made you didn't get him because the Patriots were ahead of you.
But that was their guy.
Yeah, he was my guy too, Kap.
Same here. I loved him in that blocking video that Albert Breer tweeted.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I'm like, get me that dude.
Yeah, that just tells you his want to, and that's a great attribute to have. But I think even more important is put on the tape and watch him just pull away from people once he gets into the open field. So I thought he was the guy that most closely resembled or compared to Jahmyr Gibbs, somebody obviously that Ben Johnson worked with last year, but he was gone. I look at the group now that they have, and I said this after the draft. I wouldn't be shocked if they added a veteran guy. I know J.K. Dobbins is still out there. They put a tag on him, but that doesn't mean you can't sign him. He had a good year last year, got hurt at the end, I believe. Nick Chubb's been rumored to get there. I heard what you said earlier, Jonathan. I don't know if there's an odd man out. I think it's probably Roschon. I just don't know how he fits into this offense and this style. Played hard, but had some concussion issues, and I don't think he's got that quick burst or does some of the things that this offense is going to ask of a running back. So, look, you gave money to DeAndre Swift. Now you're going to have a better line in front of him and a better play caller and game planner. So let's see him earn his money.
Tommy, as you look at their defense, my fine brother in broadcasting and family member, Jonathan Hood, to my left, a bit triggered that they did not address the defensive line as much as he would like. They did spend $48 million on Dio. They did use a high second-round pick on Shamar Turner. Do you feel they have enough there if they get push up the middle with Billings back that they can make plays in terms of getting the quarterback on the ground?
I share Jonathan's concern. But again, we're looking at this kind of big picture, and yes, the additions that you just recited will make things better. But at the end of the day, I think Shea's the one that I've heard consistently talk about the lack of win rate from their pass rush collectively and how bad it ranks. And I'm not sure that what you've done in the offseason and adding Dennis Allen is going to materially, change that. Hence the reason, guys, why I personally still have not closed the door on a deal with the Bengals to acquire Trey Hendrickson. So I know that Kap, you probably don't want to ride on that bandwagon with me, but
No, it's not that I don't ride on that bandwagon. I don't know how you're going to make it work financially, and I know teams like the Eagles, they find a way. So if there's a way, do it. But I would have thought if the Bengals were going to trade Trey Hendrickson, it would have been for draft capital this year.
Well, the Bengals do things that the Bengals only do. So I'm not so sure what's going on in their building right now. Mm-hmm. But knowing Ryan Poles is an aggressive general manager, my hope would be is he still keeps an open line of communication with Duke Tobin in Cincinnati.
That'd be awesome.
Hey, could you tell us a little bit about Ozzie Trapillo? Because I made him a lot more Latin than he should have been, as I call him Trapillo. Hey, this Trapillo, let me tell you. Yeah. But Trapillo, as Waddle helped us out with that. Tell us about him, because I see a monster. Boy, if that works, that is amazing size on the offensive line.
Yeah, he's huge. He's 6'8". He's taller than his dad. I played with his dad, Steve. Steve was a fantastic player for us. He's the guy, if you ever see the picture, and this was the year before I got there, this from the Miami game where Doug Flutie throws the Hail Mary to Gerard Phelan. When you see Doug is being held up by one of his offensive linemen, that's Steve. That was Ozzie's late father, who passed away, I want to say 20 years ago. But Steve was a fabulous offensive lineman. He was drafted, I think, in the 4th or 5th round by the Saints and played there for 5 or 6 years and then had some injuries. it runs in the family. Now, Steve was not nearly as tall as Ozzie. I think Steve was 6'4", maybe just under 6'5". Ozzie's 6'8". He's played both sides. He has excelled on the right side. But I don't think that, Jonathan, that you draft a kid at whatever number it was. What was it, 66 or 62, or wherever they drafted him, or 56. I don't think you draft someone that high and he's just a swing guy. My hope would be that you find a way to project him as someone who's at least going to compete for a starting spot.
In terms of looking at their wide receiver room, and I know they wanted to, and I believe they would not have taken the kid Luther Burden out of Missouri had Travion Henderson still be on the board one pick later. Do you like what he does, or is he actually a very reasonable facsimile of DJ Moore?
It's funny. I both. I do like him, but you put on the tape and it's basically DJ in a Missouri uniform.
Yeah.
Same size, same kind of player. I have not seen enough tape of Burden. I have to go back and look at him in terms of running all of the routes on the route tree. A lot of the stuff that I saw him do and do very well was screen passes, slot fades, and some deep work, posts and 9 routes. But Ben Johnson says he's got the quick twitch that can get him in and out of different routes and everything else. I thought it was really interesting, guys, the comments that Ben Johnson had to, after the draft, that basically, hey, look, there's no depth chart. That everybody you want to play, you're going to have to compete. I don't think that was a shot across the bow at Cole Kmet because they drafted Colston Loveland, or DJ Moore because they drafted Luther Burden. I think what he basically said was we're going to use all of these guys, and those of you who rise to the top are going to get more reps than the other guys. And I thought I was talking to some people and say, wow, some of the comments and some of the drafts means that maybe they're looking to move on from Cole Kmet or DJ Moore, or that they're putting them on notice. Well, first of all, both of those guys were definitely respected by the team because they were both given handsome contract extensions. So anyone thinking that they may have been disrespected by the drafting of these two other guys, I think those folks would be sorely mistaken. And I don't necessarily, guys, think that they drafted their replacements in the here and now. Maybe those guys ultimately take over the roles next year or the year after of the guys that currently fill it. I think they're just adding guys to the mix, and they're going to want to play with them. I want to see Cole Kmet in a Ben Johnson offense working with Colston Loveland. I told you guys several weeks ago I was more interested in Loveland than I was Warren because I thought he meshed with Cole. He fit with Cole more seamlessly than the other guy. I want to see what Luther Burden can do in a 3 wide receiver set with Rome and DJ Moore. So I think it can be a little bit of both. Ultimately, do these guys take on a bigger role going forward with some of the guys that they'll be sharing the huddle with? Maybe. But right now, I think this was more about adding more assets to the huddle for Ben Johnson to work with.
Jordan Hudson or Yoko Ono? We talk about it next on Kap and J Hood. Tommy, we got to break this thing down with Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson. All right.
Oh, God.
Okay, so we saw her on CBS this morning. That's on the morning show, by the way, on Sunday. That's your age, Cap. That's your age, 60 or over. Get a cup of coffee, watch Charles Kuralt.
I was not watching.
Try to win a ball game.
My coffee is I grab a cup of coffee and find a way to win a baseball game.
But there's Charles Kuralt, or whoever is doing that interview.
Gosh.
And so there it is. Bill Belichick in his holy Navy sweatshirt, which we've seen before.
What was that?
Well, he always does that. He's been doing it for 20 years.
Okay,
so.
wearing the Navy thing, okay, your dad was the coach there and all that. That's cool. The big hole on the side and the front of the shoulder? I mean, come on, man. What are we doing?
That's his brand. And don't tell me he's not playing into it. That is to me, that is intended behavior.
So here's I'm going to draw a line here, Tommy, for the first time ever. Cap, Tommy, I think Bill Belichick's got it good. So good that he's allowing Jordan Hudson to run his life. It must be good. That's all I'm going to say. That fair, Cap? Clearly. Because Bill is a guy that is a control freak to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And now Jordan Hudson has an opportunity to get on his emails and kind of help run the football operation. I think there's a little whippage there.
Yeah, it's either good or, as I think Sylvie referenced, he may need a well-being check. Sylvie wondered whether or not the other day that he finds himself in a Russell's or what was who was the workout guy?
The guy with the
Simmons.
curly hair,
Simmons.
Richard
Yeah.
Simmons.
Yeah.
Richard Simmons.
Well, Maggie
Where-
Kelly said it's elder abuse.
Yeah, like Richard Simmons, I think, there was, alleged that whoever was his handler or someone who helped with him had basically had him under their control. So we're like, blink twice, Bill, if you need help.
Well, and apparently North Carolina people are somewhere between concerned and pissed. Concerned because he's a noted tyrant, and apparently she's calling a lot of the shots, even football shots. Like in the interview, there were football questions that she was cutting him off. And then pissed because you're the head coach at North Carolina. Why are you branded Navy on CBS Sunday morning?
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean-
she also, I think, didn't she posted an email that he sent to people that was not meant for the public about the book and why he was doing it and all the other stuff.
That's correct.
Look, I haven't followed this close enough. I'm not interested in it, to be frank, because it is a little weird to me. I have 3 daughters that are older than his girlfriend.
That's something, man.
Yeah.
This is a football silver alert, I think, for Bill Belichick. I saw
Cara, somebody's at the door.
Yeah.
It's one of the daughters, and they're with an older man.
That's
I'd like
fine,
you to meet
but the
my
difference-
boyfriend. He's
the-
73.
The difference between 70 and 24, I'm just speaking for me, would be a little bit difficult to comprehend.
Yes.
Trying to be kind here.
Yes. No, it's a weird conversation. What do you have in common?
That's it, Jonathan. I don't have any idea. I don't have any idea what the two of them can have in common. Maybe she likes sweatshirts with holes in them as well. I don't know.
Well, it becomes convenient when the hole's in his sweatshirt, of course. But nonetheless, it's always that.
Maybe that's what Bill's drawn to. I have no idea.
Well, I think we can see what he's drawn to. I mean, we see
That's
that.
fair.
I mean, I think it's very clear with Jordan Hudson, the Yoko Ono of the UNC program, what's happening here. I'm just saying that Bill's quirky anyway, but to put your full trust, he didn't have trust in Elliott Wolf, but he's got trust in Jordan Hudson. That says a lot, though. So I think that it must be pretty good, Cap. I mean, after all being pent up for 20 years in the office and finally get someone that he really can be a soulmate, now he's just letting loose.
Tommy, there was a quote where she said, I don't understand. I go to spring practice, and all of a sudden, I'm all over the news. And I said, well, I was showing that to my wife. She's like, well, wearing the stiletto thigh-high boots with the mini skirt going on the field
She knew exactly
might
what
not
she
be
was
a
doing.
good look.
Well, she knew what she was doing. Like, that's just, she's, the attention is, look, to each their own, I guess, at the end of the day. As long as nobody's getting hurt here, you go be you go do you, however you want to do you. If I am North Carolina, as Shay's saying, like if I'm the football program, in fact, if like the chancellor wants to talk to Bill and have a meeting that is athletic or football related, and she's part of the meeting, that I would, I don't know why that is necessary.
Remember when Bill said the job that he was hoping to hear from an NFL team was the Bears? He wanted to talk to the Bears when they fired Matt Eberflus, and obviously that never happened. Can you imagine what we all would have to deal with? Carm, good kid, you, Sylvie, me, Hoodie, Black Abdallah, every day if Jordan Hudson was ensconced up at Hallis Hall?
I'm so thrilled that Ben Johnson is our football coach.
Oh, God.
Could you
Ryan
imagine?
Poles has to grab his coffee and go, thank God we didn't interview that dude, and he ended up swaying us.
Yeah, it's one of the weirder turns in recent sports history from my perspective. But
Holy
I mean,
cow.
could you imagine the rants I would have on a Monday morning after a Bears loss? Hey, Coach, get off the mermaid and get back in the playbook. You son of a bitch.
Bill Belichick joins us here on Kap and J Hood.
3-1-2.
Coach, was it you that decided to challenge there, or was that Jordan?
We've just programmed Charlotte radio for the fall.
oh, no doubt.
By the way, I have the email that she released.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
I don't think this is fantastic, but it will probably hype the book, which is clearly the ongoing theme here. This is about what I expected from the media. We went through how important it was for me to put I effed up in the book. And, of course, that is the feature of this article, which is mostly about admitting mistakes and talking about a Super Bowl mistake, blah, 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 blah. I will say again, I want this book to be presented as a look at my professional life and how I did my job. Ends it by saying, I have at times reluctantly gone along with the title, cover, and language. I am not going to be the conductor of a hype train in the book promotion. I hope we can get on the same page of promoting the book authentically. Thanks, BB. Guarantee you she wrote that.
I have no idea. I got to be honest with you, too. Like, I'm not interested in it. I'm kind of creeped out by all of it.
It is creepy.
It's like some people like to watch train wrecks like that. I don't.
That doesn't end well.
No.
It does not.
No. You know what? I was more interested in watching Tibbs keep two of his best players on the side of the court during crunch time.
Yes.
You know, I'm like, usually Tibbs has got them out there for 50 minutes. This time he had Brunson and Hart sitting on the sidelines.
Will she join him on the North Carolina coaches shows?
Shay, I would think that's very likely.
Coach, why'd you go for that fourth down? We're not talking about that.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine her chiming in? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the UNC football show with Bill Belichick, brought to you by Bojangles. Coach, how are you? Bojangles chicken, yes.
Brought to you by Cookout.
An 8-piece and a sweet tea.
Brought to you by Chuck E. Cheese, for Christ's sake.
Remember I told you when I was in Jacksonville, Alabama, with the UIC Flames, I told you, Tommy, it's like I went down to the went downstairs, went to the desk and say, ma'am, I was looking for the bottled water. You got any water? Now, honey, but we got sweet tea. And she pulled one out from underneath the desk. I think it was her own. I said, you don't have bottled water here? Nope, but we got sweet tea.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Nothing like the South.
Yeah, I got a sweet tea at 11:30 at night, just what I need to do to put me to sleep.
Tommy, as always,
Have
we
a
appreciate
great
it.
day, kid.
See you, fellas.
There's Tommy Waddle.
On the Yingling Highway.
Yingling, the oldest brewery in America.
Pick up where we left off talking with Tommy about the running back situation for the Chicago Bears. We have an analyst that agrees with us about the upgrade of the running back position. That's in 2 minutes right here on Kap and J Hood.